All right, so we are live. So welcome back, everybody, for another exciting week in MISA. So for those of you that are new to MISA, welcome. So this is our MIS student organization. Um, we're excited to have you. For those of you that have been with us, thanks for sticking on and continuing throughout the weeks. So as we talked about, sort of the schedule for MISA is we have a pretty good mix of the way the sessions are set up. So we have some of our general meetings like we had last week where we had Byron from the Career Center come in and talk. And then now we have one of our great company information sessions where we have a local IT company come in, talk a little bit about their company, what they do, and what job opportunities they have available. So tonight we have our very special company coming in, their first time for MISA. So we're excited to have them come. They're located here, in terms of their local headquarters for us is here in Fort Lauderdale, but they have a couple other locations across the country. In terms of sort of IT positions, they'll talk about some of the different opportunities they have. But one of the great things about the MSPs or the managed service providers is it gives students an opportunity to kind of see all the things that go on with support. And you really, in terms of sort of help desk work, you really can learn a lot about how to diagnose problems and fix issues and really understand how the systems look on your end at the company, but also from the user's ends and what they have to deal with. So it's a really great opportunity. Anytime you can have some contacts with some MSPs and really understand how sort of that support works. So without further ado and stealing any thunder, can we give a nice MISA virtual round of applause for Darin and PJ from Wheelhouse IT?
Well,
Thank you.
thank you guys. So my name's PJ Piojda. I am the Director of Finance and Talent for Wheelhouse IT. I'll let Darin introduce himself.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Darin. I manage our client services, so pretty much in line with like a service delivery position.
And both of us were formerly with company Blue Water Technologies, and in 2016, we were acquired and came over into Wheelhouse and continue to have rapid growth, which has been amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit of background about us. Darin and I are going to bounce back and forth off of each other on what Wheelhouse is, what we do, where we came from, and all of that. And then we'll get to the point of some of the available positions that we have within the company. So it's been, like I said, really exciting for the rapid growth we've had for the past 3 years in a row. We've made it onto the Inc. 500, which, as you can see in the quick slide here, only 4% of companies actually achieve this, and we're actually set to achieve this for 2020 as well. Announcements typically come in March, so we should find out soon if we've made it for a fourth consecutive year. We've been on the MSP 501. That was actually for last year and placed 94th in that, which is pretty cool. And once we tell you a little bit more about what an MSP does, you'll understand why that's so awesome, because it's kind of unheard of to even get placed in there, and to be in the top 100 is pretty awesome. Um, so we're the largest managed IT provider, headquartered out of South Florida by staff size. We have over 250 companies that we manage, and we primarily focus in small to medium sized markets, with about 50 or so passionate IT professionals that help us achieve what we need to do on a day-to-day basis. Um, we have a focus layering on our security and compliance on top of our managed IT services. So it kind of hits the gamut that Jonathan was talking about, where there's a little bit of everybody in this group. So we have the security and compliance as well as the managed IT services portion, which is the bread and butter of our company. And we continue to expand upon all of that. And our growth has been a true statement to our process. We've uh, started in 2016, like I said, when we were acquired. We were merely a 10-person operation, and that was with Darin and I and two other people from Blue Water coming in, making up that 10. And now we're sitting at just around that 50 mark, and don't see any sign of slowing down even through the pandemic. we had growth and stability, which is really great for any IT company right now. Um, and then our big focus is we have Microsoft in our ecosystem. Microsoft is kind of the center of where we pivot from everything within what we do for our managed services. And of course, there's some of those ancillary awards that you can see off to the side. I'm not going to get into each of those. um, so we are headquartered out of Florida and Fort Lauderdale. We do have an office in New York and California, and then we also have a few team members in Iowa and Arkansas. Through the pandemic, we realized that we don't need to have local resources in each of our office locations. So we obviously started working remotely. And through that, we created a very efficient workplace to have that remote work capability, therefore allowing us to have employees in multiple locations. It's always good to have that face-to-face connection. So we have the cameras, but we do like to have the offices as well to make sure that once things start to get better, we can enjoy the company of others within the office space and have that time as well. But with that being said, anybody that is possibly not from here and going to school and looking for a job, or has intentions of leaving Florida upon graduation, there is still opportunity to work with a company like ours and gain access to full-time employment while you live anywhere. I'd say anywhere in the world, but let's stick with the US for right now. I'm going to let Darin go over this, but this is essentially what is an MSP?
Yeah, so managed services is a really general term, and it can mean a lot of things, and it even has some meanings outside of IT. But for us, managed services and IT services specifically is ultimately the idea that we come into a business and we make an assessment and we accommodate, supplement, or take over their IT. So sometimes a client might need just a particular set of services, but the heart of what we do is that we go to a business and we assess their circumstances, and then we have them sign up with us in an agreement, and we take over their IT, everything from support to guidance. So, you know, being like a virtual chief information officer to project planning, forecasting what the future is going to look like, implementation of new solutions, all the way down to password resets for their email. As well as things like training, user training. So it can go all over the place, but for the most part, our primary goal is just essentially have them consider anytime they have an IT need, they're reaching out to us, right? And that can cover telecom services, you know, phones, internet, fax, just anything that has IT associated. We want to make sure that we're the center of that, and that we become their technology advisors. On average, our typical client, you know, we have agents that we deploy on all of their devices, and then we work with the point of contacts and the users and help them with their day-to-day IT needs. And so we have support for businesses in almost every industry that I can think of. We've got government-driven agencies that build airplane parts for companies like Pratt Whitney and Rolls-Royce. We've got a large selection of our clientele is within the healthcare space, so lots of doctors' offices. We have some medical analytics companies. We have a client that's working on COVID, so it can really span a very, very large selection of industries and company specific types, and it's pretty great to be a part of that because you get to see so many very different environments, different types of people, different types of business mindsets, and each one of them informs you in a way that allows you to take that new information and move that to another client, to another experience. And that's not just at like the account manager level. It goes all the way down to the technician. You know, each time you learn something when you touch a computer, it usually travels well. So outside of that, we deliver training platforms, a lot of Azure services. So we put our clients into the cloud as much as possible, right? So our primary goal as an IT company, as a managed service provider, is effectively to put all of our clients entirely within a cloud environment, so that it doesn't matter what happens, especially as you know in South Florida, right? Every year we have a big to-do within our organization regarding hurricanes. And we've got it down to a science. We have never lost data. We have never lost productivity on a client throughout one of those, unless it was signed off that they didn't want to make the changes that we recommended. And even then they were fine. They just accepted the time that they were down. We've had a building get completely destroyed and we had them up the next day. And so our primary intentions and goals right now are to have business continuity, which is the industry term, and to have security and compliance. And so, it's a lot of buzzwords. I'm sure that you guys hear these in your classes, and it's only getting more complicated, and that complication is creating opportunity. And so that's what we do as a managed service provider. If we're worth our salt, is we seek out those new opportunities and we try to stay ahead of them and make sure our clients are aware of what opportunities are out there in the world.
I'll let you keep going there.
Okay. Yeah. So this is, we always try to find ways to be different, and ways to make sure that our clients know that we're staying ahead, because technology, as you know, is ever changing. If you're a first year, maybe you don't know this as much, but if you're 4 years into your collegiate experience, you probably know that there's technologies that have changed just in the time that you've been in school. And so, we're always prepared to quickly evolve and adapt to the needs of the businesses we support, but also just of the industry and the way that it changes. We have to be smart about the way that we approach these things, because if we don't stay ahead of the technology, then somebody will, and that will be a negative experience for us and for our clients. Our deep pool of talent helps our technical team to grow, and this we'll probably get into later during the conversations and the Q&A. But we have plenty of people who work with other solutions other than Microsoft. Some of this by hobby, like myself. I work a lot with Linux as a hobby. But we have plenty of people that work with Linux, that understand Linux. We have countless clients that have Linux in their environment for one particular reason, typically some sort of server. Moving from that, though, we have staff across the country. As PJ mentioned, we're always looking to grow and bring in new people that are excited to develop with us. And as I mentioned before, having exposure to such a diverse combination of client industries and infrastructures, it always informs us, and it always makes the next client experience better, because there's just so many parallels between the different industries, and it always helps our clients to know more about other industries.
And just to piggyback on that last statement, the differentiator of being an internal IT person versus being in an MSP is on that premise. Internal IT, you're going to function within the four walls of what that environment is providing and what you're going to support. In an MSP, we have 250 plus clients. Each one has a little bit something different. We have different platforms. We're working on different pieces of software, cloud-based systems, local systems, everything that you need to understand. There's a saying in MSP that in MSP versus internal, you're growing at 3 times the speed, just because of how much you have to learn and differentiate for each client that you interface with, versus the one client on internal IT that you're constantly just working with whatever's in that environment and trying to push them into new technology that often gets pushed back. So what it looks like on an MSP for how we handle our clients is just a very easy tactic of, you have a phone, email, on-site, and chat. So essentially, we want to be able to communicate with all our clients and answer their calls and take care of 50% first call resolution. So as Darin was saying, something as simple as password resets that are required, a client will call in, we have somebody that answers the phone, they're going to be able to take care of that for them and move on to the next ticket and keep the customer service going. Now we do have clients that prefer email. So versus picking up the phone to call us, they can shoot us an email, goes into our ticketing system. Um, More than likely, it's not going to be an urgent item, but we still have SLAs that we keep on target with to make sure that we're rectifying whatever they've sent in. On a rare occasion, we need on-sites. So as technologies evolved, we went from maybe 7 years ago to requiring a 50-50 split to now we're probably about a 90% remote capability and only 10% on-site. And even those on-sites are getting less and less unless there's a true office move or something major that happened as most people are moving into the cloud. So it's just getting easier to be able to take care of a client remotely, hence why our functionality of being able to be remote right now has been so easy for us. 'Cause the necessity for on-sites has been very rare. And then the last thing is chat, communication. We do this more on an internal basis than client related, but because we have so many engineers on staff that each have their own specialty, they can chat amongst, we utilize Teams. They'll chat in Microsoft Teams, and through that, they can find out who might know something a little bit better than what they do, solve a problem quicker rather than them having to always start from ground zero and getting to the end themselves. We utilize our team as much as possible to focus on the client's best interest because they want to be up and running and stay happy. So we take care of everyone as fast as possible. Um, I just lost my train of thought on the last thing. Sorry. Oh, I was just going to talk a little bit on our ticketing system. So our ticketing system is great because we have, like we've said multiple times now, a diverse group of clients. Some do have internal IT. So we are just the backbone to help them progress further. And by our ticketing system, we can offer them the ability to share in the resources that we have, and they may do the day-to-day activity that's required in their office, but our senior engineering team can actually focus on taking them to the next level. Some of these clients, like one in particular right now, is moving all their infrastructure from a local environment into cloud, into Azure, and they don't have the knowledge base for that. So our team is helping them on the back end to support that. So it doesn't just have to mean that a client needs to lean on us every single day. A lot of our clients do have that internal IT that they do the day to day, and they still need that outsourced help. Where again, that MSP, we have that pool of knowledge, so it helps out. Um, I'll let you do this one again, Darin.
Sure. And I've already touched on this a little bit. So modern workplace is really just our branding, so to speak, of the concept of being able to work in any condition, any environment, short of a national emergency. So, what we're really trying to do and what COVID has really done is it's taught us a lot of things. It's taught us that a lot of the assumptions that we made about how people can work are wrong. And B, it's improved the, and to take off of PJ's point, it's improved the average competency of the user, because they had to go home and they had to learn how to deal with their home internet and their devices. And some of them are, it was an experience going through this. So, having to work with a lot of these users in their homes, but, in doing that, it helped them to learn and understand a little bit about the technology. And it enables us to do less on-sites because we can actually use them as hands in the field in a lot of cases when the client is willing. And obviously we're not going to people's houses to fix their computers at their house. So, a lot of times we just have to guide them over the phone. And that, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this at some point, but, problem solving methodologies are deeply important. And I think Jonathan was talking about this earlier. It travels across any career. And so, having a problem solving methodology that is tried and proven, it's so very helpful. And when working with somebody remotely and with dealing with remote experiences, which you're going to have to, even if, the doors open up and everybody goes back to work, there's just too many companies that have realized where the cost savings are at and how they can diversify their workforce, and they can seek talent in other places. So they're not just limited to one location. So you can be that talent that can be accessed from anywhere. Outside of that, we want to just continue to grow our security services because, again, security is everywhere, and for good reason. A lot of it is concerning. A lot of it is being proactive and just making sure that the future of business is being performed safely. And we watched this transition happen when we went from a lot of companies that had on-premise servers and on-premise devices, and they were just terrified to go into the cloud because it was just, they didn't understand it. And they're afraid of the big companies like Microsoft and Amazon. But the truth is that it enables them to do so much more with their business and to have so much more flexibility. So that security is important because it gives them the assurance that where we're leading them is to a safe place. And then the last thing is that we're always looking to grow and expand into new locations. So any opportunity that we get to find a new location in the United States where we can put some people and create a new market, it's exciting, and it's something that we want to do. And for that matter, we have clients in most continents. We have client offices in South America. We have client offices in Europe. We have client offices in China. So we've got plenty of places where we have reach, and you get to see some pretty neat stuff because of that. So if you want to continue, PJ.
So working with WIT. So while we are an IT company, we are still a business. So we have many different positions within our company. Obviously, the primary are IT positions, all the way from our beginning position, which is an SA, or a support agent, which is our internship position. Essentially, that offers you the ability to come in and actually understand what the company does, how we operate, gather what the SOPs are, standard business practices, and how we support our clients and what type of clients we have. From that position, there's a magnitude of options of what direction you might want to go. To stay in IT, you can go up the track to a support technician, to an escalation technician, to a project engineer, to a senior engineer, to a security engineer, and upward to specialize. Maybe once you get in there, doing the IT is not the passion, but managing the IT is the passion. So we have management positions. We have team coordinators. We have team managers, and we have bench supervisors, logistic managers. So all of those stay within the IT from a management perspective. But then maybe you're like, wait, IT management, still not where I want to be. We have administrative positions within the company. We also have an entire marketing department within our company. We do online presence management for some outside companies as well. So the idea of coming in and just doing one specific thing, that's the great thing about an MSP, is we have so many different options for you. And the one thing I didn't mention is maybe being client facing isn't something that you're interested in. You want to be on the back end of all of that. we have a whole knock department as well. So you can get into knock and actually be on the backside of it. And essentially you're a frontline defense, but you're not dealing with the client. You're just making sure that you're following all the notifications and gearing up the uh, technicians and engineers to be prepared to take care of anything that you're unable to resolve quickly on your own. Um, Within the company, I think this is probably best company that I've ever worked for when it comes to culture. The everyone within the company has, for the most part, become friends. Even people that have left for outside circumstances. We had somebody recently get married, moved to North Carolina, and ended up falling into a position that was better suited for him, but still talk to him on a regular basis. But we do quarterly events. Our This quarter, we're going to try to get together and do a barbecue, socially distanced, of course. But it's really been painful for me, particularly because I really like that social interaction that we have with our team. And over the past year, we haven't had that. In the past, we've taken the team go karting. Uh, we've Our end of year event, we rented a yacht, took the yacht up and down the New River and enjoyed dinner and drinks on that. The last holiday before COVID hit, we rented a house in Hollywood Beach and had a house party for the entire weekend. We flew everybody in from New York, all locations, to come down and be as one family, one unit. Uh, we do a lot of training sessions. We understand that on a day to day basis, once you start a career, it's hard enough to have to deal with the day to day that we want everybody to be able to relax and have fun as well. Um, some other fun things that we do, we started Beer O'Clock Fridays. Friday at 4 o'clock, we start to unwind and grab a beer and just kind of communicate with the team. How was your week? What was going on? Did you do anything? I mean, we're still talking work. I mean, because that's what you guys know. You're all working together. Of course, we have a lot of people that have similar interests too, that they play Magic or whatever the case may be, and start doing something outside of the group, and we get little pods happening around the office of the different vested interests throughout there. But we do know that our ultimate goal is to grow and support our clients so that we can continue to grow as a company and continue to nurture everything that is in our culture. Um, in addition to all of that, we have some great benefits too. We have a company sponsored health, dental, and optical plan. Company covers 50% of that, and you pay the remaining 50%. And as long as you go on a plan, you get short term, long term, and life insurance automatically covered on base plans. So, right now, I think our life insurance, we just bumped that up to $25,000, covered for free. And then you can add like almost pennies on the dollar to increase that if you wanted to. But the big one, and unfortunately, we've needed to utilize this on some of our staff members, but the short term and long term disability. Most people at college graduating age do not think they're going to need to require that. I'm here to tell you, you do. It does happen. It sucks when it happens, but it's good to have the benefits behind you when and if it does happen. Um, we do a retirement plan, a 401k. We offer both a standard 401 and a Roth with a match. There's a point for point match for the first 3% and a half a point for the next two. So if you put in 5%, you get the full benefit from the company of a 4% match. Um, we do a cell phone plan. So you transfer your number into the company. It's still your number, but it just goes on to a company plan. We get you a cell phone. You no longer have to pay for your cell phone usage, and it's a full use plan for both personal and professional use. There's no pieces of software that we put on there to monitor or do anything with that. So it's strictly yours to use as needed. It has come in handy, as Darin did say, being in South Florida, hurricanes do hit. And the cell towers do tend to come up pretty quick, but power necessarily does not. So we're able to utilize that to still function. And then, of course, we do have PTO. It's a mixed vacation, sick time package where most companies that I've interacted with start at 1 year of employment. We start at 6 months. So after 6 months of employment, your PTO starts to kick in, and it grows at 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and 5 year. And then you max out at your 5 year. And we've added some additional days within our calendar for automatic time off. So I think standard companies, you're doing New Year's Day, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, Memorial, Labor, and Independence Day. We also do the day after Thanksgiving, Martin Luther King Day, and we're looking to add President's Day to that mix too. We're going to try to finalize that this year. We just passed, but to add it for 2021's calendar year. But we do add and engage in as much PTO as possible to understand that you do need time to relax and enjoy your life, as it will. And then to circle back to the training, to go a little bit more in depth on that, we do offer Udemy, which most of you probably already have access to, but we do set a course curriculum within there that pretty much goes through all the certifications that you would need within the industry, or at least within our four walls of the industry. And we also do what's called, or formerly called, an LLL, which was a lunch, learn, and leisure. But once a month we get together, and it's internal, specialized. So if Darin's saying that he's playing in Linux, but he really specializes in Linux, he might do a lesson in Linux for our team and do a Q&A after that. Then we'll bring in food for the team. And then the leisure part is we used to do LAN parties, or maybe we have a ping pong table, they'll do a ping pong tournament in the office or what have you. But we try to encourage growth at all times, and people that stay stagnant within a position get bored. So we're always looking to help promote you. So to come into a company like ours, you're never looking to stay in a position that you're hired for. We're looking to see where you're going to be in 6 months, a year, and 5 years, so that we can create your career path and grow you through the company. And with that, I think we're pretty darn close to the 5:45 that was suggested.
That was excellent work on there. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording.